Okay, we now welcome on a very special guest in studio. It is Skip Bayless. Never thought we'd see the day, but he's here in the flesh. Skip, we got a lot of questions, but let's start with something easy. Warm us up.
Okay.
Is Dak Prescott a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
By the way, could I jump in before I answer that question?
Yeah, go for it.
This is surreal to me.
To you?
Yeah,
surreal
because
to us.
Yeah.
For similar reasons. So I was blessed to break through in this business for the first time really in about 2010 into 2011, which was the Tim Tebow run through that NFL season. And on First Take, we started to crush. And we took over the sports media world. And then Stephen A. joined me the following year. We took it up a level. And it dawned on me last night as I was thinking about joining you guys that you guys were in the rightest place at the rightest time, and you became, if I may, Stephen A. and Skip. Like you took over as I was leaving Stephen A. to go to Fox and FS1, you guys rose to the top of the sports media world right on time. And so it's bizarre to me in a surreal way that I'm on with you, because I honor what you guys have achieved, because I know what it feels like to be where you are now. And I congratulate you on that.
You.
And it takes some luck. It does take
big time
some
luck.
right place, right time.
Yes. Yeah.
And you were right on schedule to do what you did in this world as I was in the linear TV world.
And I would say that your career helped our career in the fact that you guys would have the dumbest debates sometimes not, sometimes real, sometimes, would you say sometimes dumb?
No, I would.
When you did
can't go dumb.
LeBron versus MJ and horse.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
I got you
we
there.
Did LeBron. No, we did him playing one-on-one.
Okay, one-on-one.
Yeah.
But no, I think we found a niche.
MJ would destroy him in one-on-one. That's just me. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to do that, I'll do it.
But the niche that we found is that we just talk sports like two regular guys.
Okay,
and
all right.
and it helped that we could kind of
you
play
did.
off of the
You
debate
did.
shows.
Well, you took a title, and I'm proud to say I was responsible for half of your title and the origin of it.
Yes, you were.
I actually didn't realize that until I think 2 weeks into the show. I was like, wait, we're called Pardon My Take.
Yeah.
And then we got a cease and desist from ESPN, and we're like,
okay.
PFT was like, what's this? I was like, well, we did rip off the name.
but you ripped it off in like a fun way.
Yeah.
Like you're saying to your audience, we're not going to take it as seriously as they do.
Correct.
We're going to do this.
Right, right. And
we're
that's,
just going to be
so
two
you
guys
helped us.
talking about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one of us is Stephen A. and which one is Skip?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I didn't want to have to go there. I think you're both Skip.
Oh,
Is that
okay. Nice.
I like that. How about that?
You know, we used to have two frogs named Stephen A. and Skip.
I did not
Both
know
died.
that.
Oh, that was a tragedy.
Yeah, that was a tragedy.
But
They got sucked up into the filter.
Yeah, there was a white...
Wait, they died tragically?
They died tragically.
Not of old age?
We had a run of pets where they would just die. We had goldfish, we had frogs,
God.
they would just die. But we did name them
we had a
guys.
white one and a black one. The white one was Stephen A. and the black one was Skip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, look. I like to argue, and I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
It's like my life. It's what I was born to do, born to be. And so I wanted to actually debate authentically on television where I took it seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to trick it up. It's going to be real. I'm not going to say anything I don't believe. And Stephen A. was the perfect foil for me. I'm from Oklahoma City. He's from Queens. I'm white. He's black. And yet, from the start, we loved each other. And he knew from the start, even though I'm trying to like rip his throat out in the debate, that I always told him, no punches pulled, but none thrown. We can't get to the point where we're going to throw punches or the audience is just going to turn it off because they don't want to see mad. They just want to see heated. They want to see emotion. They want to see passion, but they don't want to see strangle each other across the table.
Right.
And Stephen A. and I were great that way because he wanted to beat me, but he knew in the end I would protect him. And he knew I had his back, and he knew I loved him like a brother, and we're still to this day brothers. So the point was that we did that because I pushed for it, and then you guys took it someplace new and different where you can kind of argue about sports, but you don't do it the way we did. I'm not going to lose the debate.
Right.
And by the way, I never lost a debate to Stephen A. Smith.
Is that true? You're
Ever.
like Lenny Dykstra's stock record?
Yeah.
He lost one. He lost one.
But
He was like 350 and one at stock picks.
The thing that I loved about First Take, which made it very different from like Around the Horn,
Yeah.
which you guys both had, it was similar in that every conversation was a competition, right? But the thing I loved about First Take is there's no score. There's no score being kept.
We
So
tried that once, and it
doesn't work.
No, you know what would happen? We let the audience sort of, I don't even know
Yeah.
what technology we're using to let the audience actually score the debate on the fly. And I would lose 100-1 every time because I was the most hated man in sports media.
I was
So
the one
we-
person
we-
that was voting for you, by the way.
Okay, thank you for that.
But I remember I had the ESPN phone, and I would text in afterwards. But the great thing about First Take was after it was over, the winner of the debate was actually up for debate. Then you got to debate with people about, hey, do you like Skip?
Yeah.
Do you like Stephen A? And I always said the perfect thing about what you guys had was you took two guys that were very, very skilled at screaming at each other, and they were maybe the only two people at ESPN that would disagree on both of the two questions of, is LeBron James good and is Tim Tebow bad? And putting
true.
that together, there was some magic that happened.
It was magic.
Big fan of that entire era. You actually believe the Tim Tebow stuff too, right? Like you believe that Tim Tebow, if he was given a fair shot in the NFL.
I'm going to tell you what I said from day one after I watched Tim Tebow beat my Oklahoma Sooners. I grew up in Oklahoma City, an Oklahoma fan. I was born into the tradition, can't help myself. After I watched what he did to my Sooners in the second half of the championship game, and then I saw that video of him at halftime saying, we're going to take the ball, we're going to drive it down their throats. I said, God, I want that guy on my team. So I said on the air, on First Take, before the draft, if he's available at the bottom of the first round, I'm going to take him. And if I run his college offense, I'm going to win a lot of games in the National Football League. He'll never make a Pro Bowl, but I want him on my team. And Josh McDaniels, then the Denver head coach, took him with the 25th overall pick. And when he got his chance his rookie year after Josh got fired, so he lost his guy, go look at what happened the last 3 games of his rookie year when he did get to play. He put up big numbers, legs, and arm, and they won 2 of those 3 games, including one over the Texans at home, which he drove them to the winning touchdown at the end of the game. And obviously, when Elway and Fox took over the next year, they just wanted to get the Tebow thing out of the way. When they fell to 1-4, let's just get it over with. Let's throw him into the fire at Miami. Remember this?
Yeah.
And let's just get it over with because he'll suck and the fans will finally say, okay, you're right about this. And all the zealots out there will say, okay, that's enough of Tebow. And they won in overtime. And they kept winning games. As I kept saying, all he does is win. And so day after day on First Take, we would bring in a parade of ex-NFL players along with Stephen A. and others, and they would all fight me to the death over he can't throw. And I'd say, well, in the last 5 minutes of games, he has the best QBR in the National Football League throwing the football because, as Eric Mangini once said to me, you know, you're right about this. He gets accurate when it's time to get accurate. Mm-hmm. So he takes a 1-4 team to the division title, and all those naysayers had to keep eating crow Monday after Monday after Monday, and obviously our ratings went through the roof. We did numbers in 2011 on ESPN2, obviously now pretty much abandoned by studio shows, but we did numbers on ESPN2 that will never, ever be touched because of me and Tebow.
Yeah, and you still think, I mean, he's not good.
Well, he never got another chance, did he?
Okay, all right,
He never did.
He's a winner, though.
I mean, just basically say
someday,
that, yeah.
seriously, 20 years from today, somebody who knows nothing about what we just discussed, somebody will take the numbers and say, wait a second, this guy won the division in 2011, and then he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game, and then he never got another chance to play? Never started another game. Nobody ever gave him a shot, right? Okay? How can you explain that? Well, you think he's just not good. And finally, I guess Belichick, Chip Kelly in Philly decided, well, he's just not good enough. But you have to give him a chance to win the game, because I think he could have kept winning games.
What about this? What if you just made him a closer, like in baseball? He comes in, you get Dak out there for 3 quarters, Tebow comes in the 4th quarter.
It's a revolutionary thought, and it's a great one. And I do not disagree with that premise. It's just something the National Football League doesn't do, because we don't do that. But someday somebody will try that and succeed with it, and then everybody will develop a closer for their team.
Closer
That would be awesome. Get some music playing, have him run out of the tunnel.
Yeah. So have you spoken with? Did Tim Tebow ever thank you for everything you did for him?
I interviewed him twice. We had him once on First Take, and then I went to the Super Bowls in Indianapolis that year, and I sat with him for an hour for a piece that we played on First Take. And I never got close to him.
Yeah.
I never connected. I do believe in God. He obviously really believes in God in ways that I don't quite worship. But we never talked about that, and it surprised me, frankly, that off the air he didn't say something to me about any connection that we had. I didn't ever feel any closeness at all. So I didn't have a relationship. I don't have his contact. I just believed in him winning football games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you very artfully dodged the Dallas Cowboys portion.
Oh,
of
I'm
the
sorry.
interview,
Yeah, let's get back to
I love that. You had
what
us hypnotized.
counts.
Is your jersey in the trash still?
I threw them away, and my wife burned them.
Did she burn the jerseys? Now,
Wait, hang on. She took them out of the trash can.
She burned them.
And then put them into the
It
fire.
was an exorcism. Yeah.
What happened with? Can you explain to me what happened with the smart trash can? That one video that was tough. It kept on closing on you.
Yeah, but was I not deadly accurate?
I know, but that thing was bodying you.
Yeah,
it just
it
kept
was.
on closing on you.
I know, but I didn't miss a throw because I was going Tebow like in the last 5 minutes where I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
It's like pure anger is manifesting in my deadly accuracy.
Yes.
Where I'm throwing with all my might. In fact, it reminds me a bit, if I may, my Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah.
We finally beat Alabama, and we kicked their ass.
Yeah.
We beat them fair and square because we outplayed them on Saturday in Nashville at our stadium, and our smart students then took the goalpost and carried it all the way down West End Avenue. It's like 3 miles to the Cumberland River, downtown Nashville, and threw the goalpost into the river. Mm-hmm. It's like 134 years of frustration because we hadn't beaten a top 5 team in 134 years of playing college football. And we took 134 years and threw it in the river. So I took every piece of Cowboy memorabilia that I own, jerseys, hats, scarves, and I fired every piece into the trash. She went into the trash and took all of the above and burned them in a big pile in the kitchen. She just set them on fire.
So you have no more Dallas Cowboys merch.
Well, I started over with a number 17 jersey because I thought he was the greatest kicker I've ever seen in my life. So I decided.
What about 11 from heaven?
New GOAT.
What about Parsons?
That's the new GOAT. I wish he'd
We
made
don't
that kick
respect-
against the Giants.
Are we
by the
talking
way.
about the guy I have to file a missing Parsons report
Oh,
for?
there we go.
Missing
That's-
Parsons.
That's really good.
By the way,
Yeah.
you're Vandy. I said this to you before when we
Yeah.
talked for a minute, but you need to be called to task on your tweet after Vandy won when you said, if you watched or heard the end of this week's Skip Bayless
Yes.
show, I strongly hinted at this possibility but didn't want to predict the upset for fear Bama coaches would show it to their players and I would doom my school. You don't get credit for hinting.
Okay.
You got to take the pick.
Okay, but if you listen to the end of my podcast the week before, I whispered it at the end. I literally whispered, "We have a quarterback
You do.
Yeah.
who gives us a chance to win every game, including this game. He just knows how to play, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell Alabama."
Thank God you whispered it because the Bama coaches, they probably can't hear the whispers.
I don't think they did. Although they did put mouse traps in each player's locker because this is going to be a proverbial
Mouse
quote unquote
trap
trap game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, trap shooting like clay pigeons, pull, bam. Like that's what the trap's going to be. But I wanted them to saunter in. I wanted them to be drained and a little down from the game of the year.
Yep.
The game before, and we were coming off a bye, and we do have a Diego Pavia who just knows how to win college football games. It's simple as that. He's played 5 years of college football and started every year, 2 at New Mexico Military, 2 at New Mexico State. He brought 5 coaches with him to Vanderbilt, including his offensive coordinator, because we needed him to put us on the national map.
And he did.
And if that's our version of NIL is hiring 5 coaches, that's what we have to do.
Yeah. All right. So I got a question. How do you watch all the games, and how do you have the energy? I know you get up at like 2 a.m. to run and lift all the time, but has there been a moment in your career where you've started to run out of gas, where you're like, I can't? I mean, it's pretty crazy that you're able to do it and keep this up.
Big Cat, if you know me, I am obsessed with this. I am still more on fire than I have ever been. I live for it. I eat, sleep, breathe it. I can't explain it. You can ask my wife. On our first date back in 2005, I told her, if this goes anywhere, you will always be number 2 to my work, because it's not work to me. It's my life. It's
Right.
my reason for being. I love the games. It's not a task for me to watch the games. And then you have to figure out the why of what you just saw. So I'm really into processing the why and trying to see things others don't see. Not that I'm a shock jock. It's just, these things just come naturally to me. And then I'm going to say exactly what I see.
Yeah. And
Okay,
do you
so-
surprise yourself sometimes when you're like, oh man, this is a fiery one that no one's going to see coming?
Yeah, but I don't think of it as a take, like a hot take. I hate that
Yeah.
cliche. It's just me. I don't know. It's just me being me.
You just think you have the ability to think counter to what most people are seeing and thinking. Like they'll see one thing and you're seeing, hey, this is actually the story here.
Yeah, I don't think of it that way,
Yeah.
but I do think
It's
it
clearly
turns
you do.
out that
You
way.
have that because you'll have opinions that's like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way.
that
Wow.
are fresh.
Yeah, mhm,
that,
right.
that make you think, and then you're going to sit back because you're a smart guy and you're a really smart guy, and you're going to sit back and say, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense," because I'm not shock jockey to the point I'm coming up with something where I say, "Oh, this will stir up the hornet's nest." I don't have a hornet's nest. I'm just me. I'm just seeing and saying exactly what I saw last night,
So you don't gamble on the games, do you?
just with my pride.
Or like some Mountain
Okay,
Dew
yeah.
occasionally? But actually, that's a good point, because you, in a weird way, you have a lot at stake on every game, because
Yeah.
you're rooting for what you just said about the game.
Yeah.
You're rooting for your sometimes your takes that zig when everybody else zags. You're rooting for that to be right, so you can get on the air
That's
and be
true.
like, "I told you so."
Yeah. Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah. So when you watch the games, are you watching multiple games at once, or do you have, what's your setup like?
My limit is 3 at once because I can't process. I have a hard time processing 2, but I try to go 3. I've got 2 giant screens, and then I always have some game on either phone or computer.
Yeah.
And when you wake up, Big Cat alluded to the workout routine. How many hours a day are we working out now?
Okay, I do cardio every day for 1 hour, never miss.
What's
never
that, just on a
miss.
treadmill?
I used to run outside more. Now I'm confining everything to inside. I'm in LA. It's just too dangerous to run outside. There's psycho drivers in LA. I know they are in New York and Chicago and everywhere else, but it just got too dangerous. So I'm confining myself to all treadmill or upright exercise bike. So I do that for an hour, and I do not miss lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoon every
Every
week. I don't miss.
Wow.
I remember there was a profile, I forget what magazine it was in, but somebody talked about what a psycho you were in the gym. Just like locked. What do you listen to when you work out?
A lot of times I'm listening to games.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
you're asking me,
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
you do it? I
Yeah.
try to time it around a game, like, because they start earlier in California, obviously in the West. So if it's 4:30 or 5, I've got a game on in my ear, or I'm just watching it at home. I got a home gym where I've got a TV in my home gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really are just like all sports all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
which I love.
Is there date night?
Friday night.
Ernestine's an angel for
She's
dealing
a
with
saint.
this. Yeah. So their Friday night is date night.
Yep.
But the rest
And
of
cheat night, we have one slice of pizza every Friday
oh
night.
my God, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? We get really nuts.
And you eat
I mean, we get like sicko, psycho nuts.
Only one? You've done
That's
two.
the roll.
You've
I've done two a couple
you
times.
Have. I know you've done two.
And you
Yeah.
eat the same thing for lunch every day, right? You still do that?
I do. I'm crazy.
So
But
do
I
What do you eat?
You meal
I'm
prep?
happy crazy.
Every Monday you sit down, you make all your turkey sandwiches?
No, we have a chef make them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I eat white meat turkey and broccoli and brown rice and like beans, like dark beans. I have that kind of combination 2 big times a day, lunch
Yeah.
and dinner.
And then Friday, 1, possibly 2 pieces of pizza, and that's
Yeah.
it.
And we'll go frozen yogurt on Friday night.
Oh,
that's-
now we're just
oh,
it is a big cheat.
Jesus. Now you're
It's a
getting
big
bad,
cheat.
yeah.
That's crazy.
So when we were talking about the Cowboys earlier, it always reminds me of, to go back to you and Stephen A. having the constant debates about the Dallas Cowboys. You and Stephen A. part ways. You go out to the West Coast. The Cowboys lose in the playoffs. It felt like Stephen A. turned up the Cowboys dial a little bit.
Yeah.
Put the cowboy hat on.
Sure.
It always felt like he was sending secret messages to you. Like, this is for Skip. It's for an audience of one. I'm still rubbing it in for Skip. Did you feel that way too?
I thought he was doing it for his ratings, just to remind everybody now he's the Cowboy hater as opposed to me being the Cowboy lover. So I thought it was smart on his part. Mm-hmm. But I'm a psycho, sicko Cowboy fan. I'm spoiled rotten. And you asked me about Dak.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying.
Yeah.
I don't believe. I've seen enough. I know what he is and what especially he is not. He is 2-5 in the postseason. And every time a big moment has come in a postseason game that is begging to be won, he's not there. And they played a game 3 years ago at San Francisco that was begging to be won by the defense when Micah was riding highest. And he was at least a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And he basically took over a game at San Francisco that the offense needed one play to be made, and Dak missed 5 open receivers in that game, and they lost a close game, and that was as close as they're ever going to come to getting to an NFC Championship game with Dak Prescott at quarterback.
Wow.
And yet Jerry has committed to him for 4 more years, made him the richest player in the history of pro football because Jerry just wants to sell tickets. And Dak will sell tickets because he's safe. And you know he's going to put up gaudy enough numbers to be somewhere on the fringe of the MVP race. And they'll win some games. I got them at 8-9, missing the playoffs, but they'll win enough games as they stole one the other night at Pittsburgh because of Dak in the end after he had 3 horrendous turnovers, 2 in the red zone. They'll be just good enough to be a factor, just good enough to be relevant, just good enough to be the team nobody can take their eyes off of. So that's why Dak is the quarterback. I was praying for Trey Lance to have a sensational preseason to the point that Jerry would say, well, maybe I should go here and plunge with him the way the Shanahans plunged. No.
Yeah, that did not happen.
Do you
Did not happen.
sometimes wake up in cold sweats thinking about Mason Crossbar?
Yeah, no game has ripped my guts out more than that game did because that was arguably Dak's best game of his career. That was his first playoff game. That's when they were the 1 seed. That's when they had a home playoff game against Aaron Bleepin Rodgers, who always plays the best against the Dallas Cowboys. There's something,
and the Bears, but yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's like too easy.
Yeah,
right?
that's also, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a
Okay.
So
they're the
just
1
haunts you.
seed at home.
Yeah.
And they're not ready to play. And they come out and fall, what was it, 21 to something behind, 21 to 3. And here came Dak, and here came Zeke. And Dak was made possible by Zeke, and I didn't see that coming. I was more Dak at that point, but Zeke was leading the league in rushing, and he was such a force and a factor that it allowed Dak to maximize himself as a 4th-round pick in his rookie year. So all of a sudden, bam, 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 He's got Des Bryant. We roll back and we tie the game. And then it took Mason Crossbar hitting 2 intergalactic field goals that had no chance of making it over the crossbar. And the first one was a dying quail that he missed to the right. He actually, it was a near shank, but it was definitely a slice. And it faded just over the crossbar from 53, maybe the first one was. And the second one, we're indoors. And go back and look at, I dare anybody, call up the video. It hooks badly off his foot. There's no wind indoors. He hooked it, and as soon as it left his foot, I won. And the hand of God comes down and pulls the ball back inside the left upright. I don't know how a football hooked left and then somehow faded back to the right with no wind. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it happened. It was not meant to be.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest they've come to. That was a pretty good team too. Well, let me ask this about this the new iteration that we see the Cowboys. Are we still all in, or are we all in my ass?
All in my ass. I tweeted that and it blew up, and I was like, "What's wrong with that?" I think somebody thought it was some perverse sexual.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what people thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's just all in my ass.
All in my ass.
Yeah.
You follow no one on Twitter. Do you ever see any other tweets? Like what's up with that?
You asked me about forming opinions.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be influenced by what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
So I don't need that. I don't want that. I want to be completely true to myself, authentic. As cliched and silly as that might sound to you guys, I just want to be me, and I don't need anybody to define me or to help me form my opinion. I don't want to respond to what the public's opinion is. I want to set the tone and the table. And, I only had my days working with Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe, both of whom I love like brothers. My only grievance with either one of them was when we'd go to break and they're looking at their phone and they're scrolling, like seeing what Twitter said in those days. Twitter, what did they say about what I just did?
Yeah.
As if they need validation that they won the argument. Wait, and then in my days with Stephen A., one guy in Alaska would say, "You just got your ass kicked. Aren't you embarrassed?" And we come out of break and we go back on live TV and he's angry at me for reasons I don't know. And then he might turn to his camera and say, "And I don't care what you say, I'm right about Tim Tebow," or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And he's out of his mind. I'm saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's because there was the one guy in Alaska who told him he just got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And I would say, you're so much better than that. You're Stephen A. freaking Smith. Just stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need validation. You don't want to let them creep into your psyche and define who you are on the air, to actually play a role in how you're going to respond to me and then coming out of the next break. Seriously? So that's why.
Commendable. Yeah, I think it's a very human emotion and instinct being out in the public sphere and looking for that validation.
Do you guys look at what people say?
I try not to as much because of what you just described, where it's like I could see 100 positive comments and then one guy, and that will ruin my day. So I think I've gotten better as my career's gone on.
I was a one guy ruined my day guy. I started in 2009 on Twitter, and for maybe a year, I would look at my responses, my mentions, and I would see one guy who said, "Your hair looks like shit today." And I would think, it does?
Yeah.
My hair looks like shit. Maybe it does.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. And it would start to affect my concentration. Mm-hmm. Okay? So why would I inflict that upon myself?
Yeah, no, it's smart. It's a good way to go through it. So your career, was there, I mean, you don't lack in confidence. I think that's fair to say. Was there a moment though where you, not a light bulb moment, but let's say a light bulb moment where it's like, oh, I can do this, and I have a skill here, and this is what, I'm good on air, I'm good on radio. Was there that moment for you, or did you just always think, hey, I'm the best, I can do this?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
that
Great question.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I have that moment. So, quick background story. I began to do things for ESPN in like 1989. I started being a regular on what was called Sports Reporters with Dick Schaap back in the day, Mike Lupica, Tony Kornheiser, Bob Ryan. And I found right away I liked the medium. It was good for me because I could really, I'm more introverted off camera, but I could really come out of my shell and just be me. And that's the real me on camera more than off camera. And ESPN liked what I did, so they started a show called Cold Pizza, whose remnants are still First Take. But they started in 2004, and Mark Shapiro was running ESPN and called me and said, "You've done a lot for us. I need you to come to New York and try to help us save my show," because that was his signature morning show based in New York City. It was a show loosely based on sports that was sort of the GMA, Good Morning America, of ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great idea, because if you want GMA and you're just a casual sports fan, you'll probably just watch GMA.
Right.
And they were getting no ratings. So he said, "I love you as a debater. It's what you do best. I'm going to sports up Cold Pizza. I want you to do 4 segments a day." It was with Woody Page at that point because he was already on the show. "You guys go back and forth 4 times a show, and let's see if we can spike the ratings," which we started to do. But the first morning I was there, we did one rehearsal for the showrunner, who was not a sports guy, named Brian Donlin, who became a good friend of mine. So we go into the debate. It was just something we did trick up at that point just to see how it felt. We were going live the next day, and 2 sentences flew out of my mouth. I went first, and Brian Donlin came running out of the control room down onto the floor of the New Yorker Hotel at 34th and 8th in Manhattan, where we shot the show, and screamed at me, can I say that?
Yeah, you can
word?
say whatever the fuck
Okay,
you want.
all right, all right.
Yeah.
He says, "You're way too fucking hot for morning television." And I'm like, "Brian, trust me on this. This is what you need for morning television." And that was a eureka moment, because I stopped him in his tracks, and he shook his head and he said, okay, just take it down 1 notch for me and we'll be okay. So we finished the rehearsal and I took it down 1 notch, and then the next morning I took it 2 notches back up. And the rest was ratings history, because they eventually pulled every plug in New York City on ESPN, Stephen A's Quite Frankly, and they had Howie Schwab, Stump the Schwab, and Josh Elliott on ESPN Classic. All plugs got pulled, but they couldn't pull the Cold Pizza plug because we were making money, because we were starting to rate, in large part because of the debates.
Right.
Because we were actually doing some hardcore sports talk in the midst of the pet segments and the ballpark food segments and the cigar segments that were Good Morning America on ESPN.
Yeah.
So from there, they just took us up to the mothership in Bristol and rebranded us First Take, and the rest is history.
So that is the kind of a light bulb
that was
moment.
a moment.
Yeah.
It was like this one segment actually deserves its own show, deserves to be have other shows even packaged around the idea that this is our centerpiece in the mornings. At what point did you first debate Stephen A. Smith, and did you realize instant chemistry?
I did, and that is also a great question.
Great question.
Thank you.
That was in Los Angeles in 2002. We were both on Jim Rome's show on what was called Fox Sports Net. It was the forerunner to FS1's today. And Jim did a show called The Last Word on Fox Sports Net, and he would frequently have different sort of sparring partners on. He loved me. And one day, fatefully, I got paired with this guy, Stephen A. Smith. And I got a kick out of him from day one. And right away, we got into it about some NBA topic. And Jim became a spectator at a tennis match where his head was just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I knew right away this had magic to it. we just clicked because he has the greatest gift of gab in the history of television, in my view. And there's something about his respect for me was instant. And you have to be able to respect where he let me go hard at him. He's got a big ego, and I love him, but he has a huge ego because he's earned a huge ego. And yet he already had it then, and he allowed me to go right at him and to make little jokes about him and to insult him in the realm of the debate. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're talking about. No one can tell Stephen A. that, but I just knew right away he's going to let me say that to him because he didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
So I was just telling him the truth. You're just so wrong about this because of X and Y and Z. Yeah, but and he loved for me to set tables for him because he's a great reactor as opposed to a pre-actor. I'm more of a pre-actor where I'm going to go boom, 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 and he can sit back, stroke his chin and say, wait a second. And he can take my point D and say, did you just say that X is Y? Yeah, I said that. What do you make of it? And here we'd go off on a tangent that he was comfortable playing over here in that might not be the question that was originally asked by Jim Rome. And I knew you can't teach that. You can't coach it. You guys know it. You have it. It's connection. It's chemistry that either happens or it does not happen. Mm-hmm. And there's no manager, there's no showrunner. I don't know what you guys go through behind the scenes.
Hank
but
tells us what to do all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the puppet master. Yeah.
Well, that's fine. And yet he can't tell you exactly what to say when it's time to say it. And right away, I'm in your flow right now. And it's really a beautiful place to be because it's magic. You have it. And I don't know why you have it. You could thank God, or you could thank the gods of Barstool. I don't know. Something happened that connected the two of you, and you play off each other, and you're comfortable with the flow of this, and you don't step on each other. And I don't know if you ever fight off the air, whatever. You probably do, because I did with Stephen A. occasionally, because it's what happens when you're doing this, although you guys don't do it at the sort of go for the throat level that we did. Mm-hmm. But the point is, I just knew right away that he liked me, that turned into loved me.
So,
right?
And it all, I love that answer because chemistry is the most important thing. We don't really fight off air. The only time we ever really had was the dip spit.
The dip spit. I accidentally left a bottle of dip spit. I used to.
Yeah. Okay. And it was all the way to the full.
But it might not have been my bottle.
It had no cap.
But it also might not have been my bottle.
Okay, but real quick. So would there ever be a show where Big Cat thinks that PFT jumped in too much, or
we've never fought about anything like that.
No,
like
never.
Not like to the point of arguing about something on the show.
I mean, I'll say this: we've been doing this for 8+ years.
Yeah.
There's definitely shows where I'll walk away and be like, "Oh, that wasn't our best," but we consistently are doing it every time. And there's also a lot of shows where I'm like, we'll say it out loud, like that was a great show, like we hit everything, we were in the flow.
Sure. Okay.
I'm very curious because what you said was kind of beautiful about chemistry, and I believe in it big time. What we have here is special, and I don't take that for granted. You're now though kind of going out on your own. So is there part of you that is going to miss that? And are you a little, not scared, because I don't think you probably ever get scared. Maybe if Charles Barkley showed up to your door, you might get scared. We can get to that later. But
my wife would handle him.
Okay, yeah. Shout out Ernestine. Is there, though, a piece of you that's like, I don't know if I want to do this solo because I don't have that foil, someone to go back and forth with, play tennis almost?
Also a good question, because now, ironically, I'm coming after you guys. Like, I want to do what you did. I did the linear TV at the highest level, and I needed another challenge, and this is it. You were in the right space at the right time, and you guys are extraordinary. Not just you guys, but the whole Barstool universe is extraordinary, what you have achieved in a fairly short time. So maybe I'm a little late to the party, but I need to be late to the party because I need that challenge. And I found over the last 2 years on linear TV, as those ratings start to erode slowly but surely, that people want video, they want digital, and I was reaching far more people with my videos, with my tweets, than I was on linear television.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an eye-opener to me till, this was 2 years ago, I'm saying, I got to go do this. And yet, I got to take baby steps, because the hardest thing I'm finding right now is to find the right foil figure. I'm still doing my solo podcast. I just go solo for an hour. I don't know if anybody does that on the internet the way I do it. And it's fine. And I can scratch the itch, but we are now trying to develop 3 or 4 different shows, an interview show, a debate show. I'm even thinking very strongly. Every time I had Ernestine on air with me on Undisputed, the ratings went through the roof, and we're thinking about she and I doing a show together, because she is a live wire fireball. She's the only one who will shut me down.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about even trying that. But the foil figure for the debate show has been very difficult for me to find so far.
Right.
And we are scouring the backwaters for it.
Yeah. So and you obviously leave FS1 what is it, a month or two ago.
Yeah.
The ending with Shannon, people talk about. Are there any regrets there? Because obviously it felt like what you were talking about, where PFT9, we don't fight off air, but it felt like it was kind of a real fight on air at times, and viewers can see that and feel that, and that's where it might turn a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Trust me on this. I love that guy. And we were together for 7 years in a very different way than you guys are together, because we took it up a notch from Stephen A. and I, because in the end, Stephen A. is more of a showman, an entertainer. So our debates could be a little sillier than the ex-pro football player now in the Hall of Fame versus me, because I do know football, and I would take it to whatever depth Shannon wanted to go to on X and O football. Wherever he wanted to go, I'll go there, because I learned from a lot of great people in this business. I learned from Don Shula and Bill Walsh and Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson. I know football. I don't know the jargon that Shannon knows about 22-man and bomb blitz and whatever the Denver Broncos used or the Baltimore Ravens used for jargon, but we would get into it about football, and he would get miffed occasionally that I would dare to go that deep with him about football when I didn't play football. Mm-hmm. And I've said this from day one, my experience debating pro football or basketball players is the greater they were at playing, sometimes the less they actually can explain about why that or that or that happened. Because not that they didn't work hard, but it came so naturally to them that they can't see or feel exactly why it works. See Michael Jordan as the team builder in Charlotte, who was the biggest disaster of a general manager in the history of sports. The greatest performer and player in the history of sports, was the worst team builder in the history of sports for those many years in Charlotte, because he couldn't see why can he play and he can't, because he was too supremely gifted at what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would clash occasionally on the football part. Don't you understand? I'm in the hall. Yeah, I get it. I understand, but that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion that's correct about whether he can or can't play. So my point is, I loved every minute with Shannon, but we took it to levels of supreme debate where it went right to the edge and occasionally slightly over the edge of competitive.
Yeah.
To where we got mad at each other. And by the 7th year, it's a long time, man. We had some great runs. We did some big ratings numbers, trust me, that will never be touched again in FS1 history, I doubt. God bless them, but I doubt it. But the point was that, in year 7, did we fray a little bit? Sure we did. But I fought for him to stay, and I don't know what happened between Shannon and the people upstairs because I was not privy.
Right.
But he went before I went,
Yeah.
you know, and it tore me apart.
Yeah.
I did not want him to go. And I told him the last day, I sat with him in his dressing room and I said, I envy you because you're going to get to go do what I want to do.
Right.
I still had a year left on my deal. And he got pushed out the back door and it tore me up and I missed him.
So what would happen when you would go? I like the idea of supreme debate. By the way, it's like it's almost like nirvana. You've reached the higher path. It's like an ayahuasca of debate.
Yeah.
You've gone through the wall.
True.
But what would happen when it would get frayed a little? Like the famous, obviously, the Tom Brady, that moment.
That was the moment.
Yeah, that was the moment. But what happens after the cameras are off? Is it fuck you? Is it don't talk for a while? Like what? Tell us as viewers how that comes back together a little bit, or did it not come back together?
I showed him from day one in 2016, shortly after you guys had started. Our first day was September 6th, 2016. We were
March 2016.
6 months old.
Yeah.
So you were about 6 months ahead of us.
Okay.
I tried to make him understand because I handpicked him because I really thought he could do this and he can do it and did do it because Shannon works hard at the craft. He was always prepared and always on time and always there for me. And I love him for that. And I will be forever grateful to him for what he gave to me for 7 great years, or maybe 6.5-ish, because now to these incidents, the one. Okay, so I think I misunderstood some of what he was saying, but what we're talking about Brady. And I'm a Brady fan. I don't even know Tom Brady. But I mean, he won 7 of these. And I can make a case he should have won 8 because I still don't understand why Bill Belichick benched Malcolm Butler for the Phillies Super Bowl. I don't get it. I've not heard a rational, reasonable explanation of what happened. But he played the most snaps on defense, and then he doesn't play any snaps in the Super Bowl, and I don't get it. Something must have happened behind the scenes, but both Tom and Malcolm said nothing happened behind the scenes. My point is, it's hard to rip that. It's hard to criticize that as savagely as Shannon began to criticize Tom Brady, and I just couldn't get it. And so at one point he says to me, you do understand I'm in the Hall of Fame? And I said, yeah, but you're not in this guy's universe. He won 7 Super Bowls. Nobody's in his universe. And Shannon got mad about somehow I'm disparaging his career. Well, no, he won 3 Super Bowls and he's in the Hall of Fame. And there was some misunderstanding to it, but there was no lingering fight about it. And when we went to commercial, I tried to show him from day one, when we go to commercial, I am letting all of it go. I'm passionate about it, but I also know the show must go on. So I'm going to walk away for a second, as I always did. I walked over to my little desk, and I began to prep for our next debate. And I let it go. People who ran the show decided we should maybe sit down after that one, and we did, and we had a great talk about it, and we hugged and went on to the next day. So we were really good.
Yeah.
We got through it, but that was the only day I can remember where he actually got mad on the air.
You could see it, and that's where it gets uncomfortable, where it's like the chemistry kind of...
And I told you, once you cross that line, audience is like, we're out.
Yeah.
So that's the danger you run when you do Supreme Debate.
That's Supreme Debate. And I needed ayahuasca after that.
Yeah.
Right?
You've reached levels that no man has ever reached. Debate.
So Shannon leaves, and like we talked about, you're trying to find your foil. Good luck with that. I really hope, I mean, in my own personal dreams, I would hope that at some point you and Stephen A. somewhere down the line could link back up again.
You never know.
What's the percentage chance of that happening?
I have no idea. We tried in 2020. To his credit, my deal was up after my first 4 years. So I've been there from 2016 to 2020. And he did his darndest, and I did my damnedest to reunite with him. And they did make an offer and I was unaware I had a matching clause in somewhere at the very bottom in very fine print of my contract that was standard to all contracts. I was told I had one at ESPN that I was not aware of. And not only did Fox match, they did sweeten the pot. Thank you to Lachlan Murdoch for that. So they tried to make it happier for me to stay, but I tried everything in my power to rejoin him because I missed him dearly. No disrespect to Shannon. I'd done 4 years with Shannon. I wanted to go back with Stephen A. And then ESPN came up with a second idea of a hybrid show whereby I would stay on Undisputed, he would stay on First Take, but every afternoon we would reunite for 30 or 45 minutes to do ESPN Plus together, digital show. And we tried to make it happen, and it's just, there are too many egos involved on both sides to have those two.
I can see how that would be messy. Two competitors, Fox doesn't want to give anything to ESPN
they
Plus.
don't, and vice versa. So that never got off the ground.
Well, I hope you find somebody. I hope you find your next foil, and I hope that foil is Stephen A. Smith somehow.
Thank you.
But Shannon goes on. He's obviously done really well at ESPN on his own. Did you happen to see his Instagram Live?
I did not.
You heard about the Instagram Live?
I heard about it, but give me some details.
Okay.
He was engaged with in an activity.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought we were going to reenact it.
Okay.
Okay.
Puppy.
Oh.
And it was like that for about 20 minutes.
Can't believe we just did that in front of Skip Bayless.
Wait.
It was very authentic.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But you didn't see anything. It was audio only. When I saw it, I was like, I need to turn on notifications for Skip Bayless because I thought you might have a take about it when you first saw it.
So do you have a take about it? Now that you've heard it from us?
I have no take about it.
Okay.
Do you guys have a take about it?
I think it's a perfectly normal
Healthy
activity
male.
that a healthy male was engaged in, and both parties seem to be enjoying themselves. And
I'll buy that.
And
do you need to hear it
happened.
again? I feel like you maybe want to hear it again so that you can have a take about it.
No, I'll wait until later today.
Okay.
Or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just be careful with your phone. It might
Be careful with your phone.
It might just go live at any given time, and we'll never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope you find whoever that next foil is. Doing the podcast by yourself. You said you did it for an hour, so it's just an hour of
takes.
Skip, hour of takes.
Straight takes, hard, long form, bearing my soul, emptying my heart, all the passion spills, and I've been doing it for a couple of years. I kind of did it with my left hand at Fox just to have some outlet, something else besides Undisputed. And yet my greater passions lie in all these other shows that we are developing.
Yeah. Did you find that over the years your enjoyment of sports has increased or decreased?
Increased.
I love that because you talk to a lot of people in the business and they say, like, after being around it for so long,
burned out.
You get either burned out or you get numb to it.
Yeah.
I like hearing that you're getting more excited by sports.
I mean, my God, I watched Vanderbilt University beat Alabama, and it was the greatest moment of my sports watching existence on this planet, to where I felt a joy that I'm getting goosebumps as we speak, that lingers, that continues on through the week for me. I felt a satisfaction that I could spill out in my podcast that dropped this morning that I've never felt watching a game. And I'm still going strong, those things are happening. They're still out there. I was watching the Dodger game last night, and they used 8 pitchers. And I'm thinking, well, you can't do that. I grew up in an era with Bob Gibson going 9 every night in 2 hours and 2 minutes. And I'm watching Dave Roberts use 8 bullpen. He's going 1 inning, 1.1 inning. And I'm thinking, this is absurd, the way the evolution has changed in this game. So I'm fascinated. I can't stop talking about all these things that drive your lives.
Right.
Right.
Is there a take or an opinion that you wish you had back, or one that you're like, man, that was dumb? Or do you just always look forward, never look back?
I would tell you the truth. I'm telling you from my soul, I have no regrets. If you have one you want to throw at me.
Oh, I got a bunch.
Okay.
Derek Fisher will prove to be a much better NBA head coach than Steve Kerr.
Okay. I love Derek Fisher.
Yeah,
and I
but
still believe in him.
Steve Kerr's won a lot of titles.
Yeah. Okay. What year was that? Help me
That
out.
was 2014.
Okay. I still believe in Derek Fisher, right place, right time.
Okay,
I just
like
do.
this. All right,
Here's the thing Big Cat's not understanding. At that time, he could have been right.
Yeah, you could have been right.
Everything's wrong in the benefit of hindsight.
All right, here's one. Manti Te'o, the next Ray Lewis.
Yeah. I didn't know about the fishing incident that was about to transpire.
All right, so you weren't from like there was material change.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I like how this is good.
Okay, like Johnny Manziel. I thought he could go to Cleveland and take the town over to where he'd be bigger than LeBron James ultimately, because football is way bigger than basketball in Cleveland, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And yet I said repeatedly on the air, and my bosses did not like it, I said if he ever has drug or alcohol problems that plague him going forward into the NFL, because I'd heard lots of stories, I said I'm out.
Yeah.
So he did, and I was out.
That was smart.
Okay.
What about this one? Long term, give me Josh Freeman over Cam. Better leader, more consistent passer, more clutch, more poised under fire, more careful with the ball.
Yeah. Love Josh Freeman at Kansas State, and loved they went 10-6 at Tampa.
He's just wriggling out of it.
I'm not wriggling. I'm telling you.
Wait, what year was that?
That was 2012.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He also.
I think you were Skip. I'm trying to take your side as many as possible.
Substance abuse.
Yeah, see,
issues.
this is watching.
But I can't
Picasso
know that.
paint. Yeah, no, you can't know that. It's material change.
But also Cam Newton won an MVP in 2015.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty
Cam
good.
Newton was pretty good.
Cam Newton pretty clutch. He won a Heisman. That was a pretty crazy year. He won a national title with not a great Auburn
But
team.
then he started dabbing.
He won another one at on the junior college level.
Yeah. He was pretty good. I mean, I like that you're able to find your way out of all these.
No, I can't know if they have off the field issues that are going to derail them. If you saw Josh Freeman beat Texas at Texas when he was at Kansas State and they were nothing, he was impressed. You're a college guy,
Josh Freeman, I like Josh
Freeman. That year he's a Pro Bowler and they're 10-6, and I'm sure that's when I tweeted that.
But I am a college. Cam was really good in college.
He was. He had the issue at Florida that got him kicked out of Florida, right?
Yeah, but he was really good in college.
I think Cam Newton has seen that last year at Auburn. That might have been the best season of any college player of all time.
You could make the case.
Yeah.
But you didn't see Josh Freeman.
But Josh Freeman was also very good. He was second. He was number 2.
What about, so where are we at with LeBron right now? Now, I'm MJ over LeBron, but what does LeBron have to do for the rest of his career to maybe get a little bit of respect?
Respect. I mean, he's got respect.
He's got respect.
Listen, I still call LeBron the best passer in basketball. To this day, to this moment, he's the best passer in basketball. He is the greatest driver of the basketball I have ever witnessed on any level at any time. The poor man was just born without a clutch gene, and we see it again and again and again. So all of my LeBron debates have always been in the context that you started this question with.
Yeah.
MJ or LeBron, stop it. Don't even go there, because it's offensive to me you would put those two in the same sentence, because LeBron could not carry Jordan's sneakers, and Mike's got a lot of sneakers to carry, right? So where is he now? He's played 20,000 plus more minutes than MJ played, 20,000 more minutes than Michael Jordan played, and he's the greatest scorer in the history of basketball, even though he's a 74% free throw shooter for his career, which is pathetic given his magnitude as a scorer. As a three-point shooter, he's at 34.8%, which among active players ranks in the 200s, and among all players all time ranks in the 700s of three-point shooting. Yet he's the greatest scorer ever because of longevity, because he has stayed healthier at a high level. He's obviously supremely gifted as a driver of the basketball, so he leads the world in scoring while he's a poor three-point and a poor free throw shooter, and the second is more inexcusable because they're called free throws for a reason. They are free shots from 15 feet unguarded, and Michael Jordan made 84% career from the free throw line. LeBron's at 74%. Larry Bird shot 89% for his career because they're called free throws. Look how many points LeBron has left on the table over the years. So that debate ended long ago. And yet, I remind you, we've seen back-to-back Denver series, LA-Denver series, in which in fourth quarters, LeBron has been more pathetic than ever.
No clutch gene.
Yeah, no clutch gene.
Lacks the clutch.
So what is the clutch gene?
It's being able to take and make the shot at the moment to win the game.
And Jordan obviously had the clutch gene.
The greatest ever.
LeBron, no clutch gene. What about LeBron's other titles? What about Cleveland? Delly carried him.
Well, no, I mean, LeBron's a great player. I mean, he's obviously a very gifted passer and all-around player, but he needs somebody else to take and make the Kyrie shot that won Game 7 at Oakland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's an interesting thought experiment. We're not going to do LeBron versus MJ one-on-one right now, but what about MJ right now? How old is he? Is he 55, 60?
No, he's old. His 50th birthday was. He's like 50.
I'm not sure.
Oh no, he might have been his 60th.
Yeah, I think
it
you're
might
right.
be- It might be
like
around
64.
Yeah.
Let's just say Michael Jordan right now.
I believe
Okay.
he's 64. Let's see. 61.
61-year-old Michael Jordan, one-on-one against Bronny. Who wins?
That's amazing. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Mike would just out intangible him. He would out trash talk him. And by the way, I love Bronny because they raised him right. He's such a great kid. And
LeBron's a very good father.
hey,
Yeah.
come on.
You can see it.
Hey,
Yeah.
you can. It's manifested itself in
Yeah.
number one son. I mean, what a great kid. JJ Redick keeps saying he's so coachable, and yet it's ripping my guts out to watch Bronny through the summer league when he didn't even belong in summer league, let alone G League. And now I kept saying, okay, maybe when he's alongside his father, it'll bring out the best in Bronny because he got raised around all the superstars. Maybe he'll rise to that occasion. So now I've seen 14, 13-minute stints in 2 preseason games, and it's summer league all over again.
Yeah.
I've seen him make one basket late in the first game that he played, a little left-handed layup, and I'm like, really? Then I watch him again on the night that he actually is sharing the floor with his father for the first time ever, and he plays 14 minutes and he turns it over 4 times and he scores 0 points. And I'm saying, I don't know if he can play. Seriously. So it's everything LeBron has lasted for was to play with his son. And what if his son just can't hack it?
Yeah.
What if he doesn't deserve any minutes with the big league team? And I know LeBron well enough to tell you it's beneath the family's dignity for Bronny James to play in the G League for the South Bay Lakers. I don't think they want that because it's disgraceful. Like it's below who their stature that they've earned.
Yeah.
I think it's a very cool moment though for
Yeah.
LeBron and his
yeah.
son. It's a great story.
Okay,
but
it's a great
how are they gonna
story. And
manage
then
it
what?
for a season? Yeah.
Okay, then what?
Yeah.
Can the kid back it up?
Yeah.
What if he's getting 10 minutes a night and that kid Max Christie who's starting to come along? What if he's going to JJ saying, seriously? What if all of a sudden Jared Vanderbilt or any of the guys, Cam Reddish down the bench, they're going to JJ saying, you got to stop this. It's insanity. You just can't play. Then what happens? Does it start to tear the team apart?
Yeah. No, it's a fair question.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. Well, I have a couple last questions here because I know you're going to do something else in the office. One question is, when you were in Bristol, you basically renovated a hotel room and got
I did.
Is that right? And you got a satellite on top.
I
Explain
did.
this because this is like I'm obsessive about making sure I can watch all the games, but this is to another level.
Okay. So they moved our show from New York to Bristol, and I had met my wife, Ernestine. We weren't husband and wife, but we were together. We were living together in Manhattan. She had a great job in Manhattan. All of a sudden, I got to go to the mothership 2 hours away up into central Connecticut. And I realized the first day I was there, as I stayed in the Residence Inn, which is in Southington, Connecticut, just down the street from Bristol ESPN, I really liked it. So why would I buy a place if they'll pick up the tab? And they said, sure, well, you could stay there as long like 365, I'll do it. Done. So I made it my home away from home, and they loved me so much. They took care of me. I was there almost like their child upstairs. I was on the top floor. They let me have a satellite dish installed right outside my window on the top floor of the Residence Inn. I bought my own furniture. I got my own exercise equipment into the room. It was a great room, and it was some of the most fun I ever had because they came in and cleaned every day.
Yeah,
and
nice.
they gave me fresh towels every day.
Right.
I loved it. It was some of the happiest days, of course, career-wise.
Yeah.
It was the happiest
That's
time of my life.
incredible, though. Getting that's
Residence Inn. And so I would go back to New York on Friday afternoon and be with Ernestine. And yet she started to like it so much, she started taking my car service car up to Bristol for the weekend and do a reverse trip where she would stay with me at the Residence Inn because she enjoyed the people, and they're just good folks.
It's
I
a nice
miss
little
them.
vacation from Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like, I work in Manhattan Monday through Friday, then I
Right.
leave to get out of the city.
I go to Bristol.
Beautiful
That's
Bristol,
incredible.
Connecticut. Go to Lake Compounce Water Park and the Watch Museum.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Magical
incredible.
place.
Yeah.
So Big Cat alluded to it earlier, but have you ever had the occasion to cross paths with Charles Barkley?
Yes.
No.
He has said he wants to kick your ass.
No,
I think
he has said
that-
way more than that.
He said he wants to
kill you.
Kill
Kill you
word.
on
Yeah,
live
the K
television.
word.
I think he said on the Dan
K
Patrick
word.
show, he said, if I'm ever diagnosed with like a life-threatening
did.
illness, just invite Skip Bayless on the show so I can kill him on live TV.
Yeah.
So you've never got a chance to meet him.
This is the closest I got. But I'm pretty sure this wasn't the genesis of all this, because I was just a columnist in Dallas, Texas for the Dallas Morning News, or maybe the Times Herald at this point. Spud Webb, then big NBA star, won the slam dunk contest, good friend of mine. Players honored him and respected him so much that he would put on a big all-star game every summer in Dallas, and everybody would come. Magic would come, Bird would come, Charles Barkley would come. And occasionally I was asked to be a celebrity coach of a team, but I would actually have to make substitutions with the players. So one year, Charles was on my team. I tried to introduce myself to Charles before the game, and he was uninterested in whoever the hell I was. And yet I did have to take him in and out of the game. So true story, near the end of the game, I leaned over and said, Charles, you want to go back in? I'd like to try to win the game. And he said, brother, I want to win the game too, but my shit hurts. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I put somebody else in, and it was, who was I just went blank on the Kentucky, the white kid shooter, Rex Chapman. Okay. So I put Rex Chapman in place of Charles, and Rex Chapman hit the game winner. That's a true story.
It's like Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was. Bingo. So that was as close as I ever got to Charles. And then as soon as I started doing this and that for ESPN in the early 2000s, he started on his tirades against me on, back in the day, Leno and Letterman and Dan Patrick. And I have no idea, but it got so bad that my wife Ernestine and her mother, God rest her soul, when she was alive, started to take it very personally, because their point to me was, there might be one psycho out there who listens to Charles and idolizes Charles and decides to do Charles's bidding and take you out. So you've got to figure out some way to get him to stop using the K word. He can rip and slash all he wants. I don't care. And I used to publicly thank Charles because he hung on every word I said on television, and I appreciated that. He was our most loyal fan of our show. But I finally went on my podcast a year and a half ago and just beseeched him to please stop using the K word just for the sake of my wife and her mom.
And did he?
And I'm pretty sure he has. I don't like monitor it on a daily basis.
So we're off the K word. That's good.
I think he quit the K word.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's maybe one day we can bury the hatchet between you two. Because you're right. It sounds like he does listen to what you say.
Yeah.
He gets mad at it.
I have no idea. I don't get what his issue is with me, and yet we would have Kenny Smith on, had him on a couple of times on First Take, and he would always say, you guys are too much alike. And I'd be like, me and Charles are alike, but he said just opinion-wise, he wants his opinion to be the opinion, and he hears yours, and maybe he thinks, God, I wish I'd thought of that, or whatever. Maybe there's some jealousy or resentment. I don't know, but I got nothing against Charles whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think people will ask us because on Wednesday's episode, our guest was Troy Aikman. So he was just on. Where are we at with Troy? Are things better? Are things worse? Have we
we're in
touch?
touch. We're friendly. About my book that I wrote.
Yeah. Did you imply or did you say he was gay in the book?
I did not say. You didn't read it.
I didn't know. No, I don't know.
We don't read.
I understand, and I respect and appreciate.
Thank you for respecting that.
If you had read my book, you would love the way I portrayed Troy in my book, because Troy was the hero of that book. I liked my portrayal of him, that I signed a book and hand-delivered it, the very first copy of my book, to Troy on it would be the camp practice field at St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas. First day of camp, practice ended, I took my book up and gave it to him. And I was shocked that originally he did not like it, but we have come back around, and he's been nothing but great to me. And we text, and I did catch your show with him, and I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was.
And he did it because he loves Joe Buck like a brother, and Joe loves you guys and loves being on your show. And so it was clear to me he was cool with you because you're so cool with Joe.
Yeah. All right, so I had one last question. This has been great, Skip. We really appreciate you coming in. Rowback question, RHOBACK.com, promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts, rowback.com, promo code TAKE. 72 years old?
Yep. Going on 32, but...
Yep. I mean, it is. You have more energy than everyone here. How many more years you got?
Endless. I don't know. I never think about that.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't.
So we could have like a Skip Bayless 90-year-old screaming about
you could
LeBron's grandchildren.
You could.
Your lips are God's ears.
I hope I'm screaming about Bronny.
Yeah.
But doesn't feel right
like
at this point.
No,
because it feels like you're not gonna stop doing what you do, because, like you said, that is your life.
It's my life.
Like, there's no retirement for Skip Bayless.
I don't even think, like, my wife, every time somebody brings that up somewhere, we see it somewhere, she just laughs out loud at it. Like, they don't get you. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's the last thing in your universe is I want to gear down.
Right.
I want to gear up.
I love it.
Yeah.
Get back to the Supreme Debate.
Supreme Debate.
No one's ever done
Debate.
it before.
Yeah, you're like a guru. You like live at the top of a mountain, and occasionally people walk up the steps. How do I achieve Supreme Debate?
I love the idea of Supreme Debate. You and Shannon reached debate levels that have never been reached in the world.
True.
We did, actually.
Yeah.
And we took it right to that tiniest razor's edge.
It was dangerous.
And then we're like teetering on the razor's edge, and then we slip and we cut our foot.
Yeah.
People think they want to reach Supreme Debate, but if you're not prepared for it, it will end in a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, try, you don't send somebody out on a surfboard and send them to Portugal during the storm and be like, go learn how to surf now.
And seriously, when you reach that level with Stephen A. and then Shannon, once you've been there, you're going to love those two humans like you've never loved anybody the rest of your born days, because you went someplace with them no one's ever gone.
Right. You have something in common with them that no other human. It's like almost like the guys who walked on the moon. Like, there's only a few of them.
It's beyond that.
Yeah, right. Like, you can only relate to those guys.
It's like tantric debate almost. I love it. Yeah. Do you ever miss writing?
I'm going to write a book. I'm just about ready to start it, about my wild ride through television. So I do miss it, and I'm going to reach hard for it very soon.
All right.
Okay. Well, Skip,
I will read it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. This has been great.
Hey,
anytime you're in the city, we'd love to have you back on. So good luck with everything, and really, really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. I feel like I went into your supreme place with you guys today that very few get to occupy.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's been tantric. Is that?
Yeah, it's tantric.
This is
We can do the
a
Shannon
tantric
Sharpe
experience.
thing again if you want.
No,
All right.
I'll
Also,
I'll
I was
check it
right,
out.
by the way. I do have a tweet where you said MJ versus LeBron, who would win in horse. So I was right.
Horse?
Yeah, you said horse.
I don't think we did it on the air. I just remember doing one-on-one.
Nope. Yeah, I have horse.
What about this? What if,
I have horse.
What if LeBron retires and you just
Well, in horse.
In horse, you.
Well, couldn't
I'm
Mike
pulling
just
it
go
up.
to the free throw line and start shooting
That's
free
a
throws?
fact. So the question is,
great
why
point.
would you have that debate? Because it's so clear that who would win that.
What year was that?
Hold on, let me find it.
You've dug deep.
Yeah. All right. So this was 2020, April 6th.
Oh,
So
really?
COVID. You said this will be an all-time great. Who wins a game of horse between Jordan in his prime and LeBron in his?
I just
now
remember on
undisputed-
air many times we did one-on-one.
I know, but
Yeah.
you did horse. That's
Okay.
also
All right,
now that
you're
I'm
right,
looking at
you're
it.
right.
That's COVID.
You got me. You got me.
You needed something.
You're
during
right.
COVID.
You finally won a debate from me.
There we go.
Right
there. we
there.
go. I've
Yeah.
defeated. I've done what.
Congratulations.
you should have LeBron on
Hey,
as your co-host?
I congratulate both of you for all your success,
Thank
and
you.
may it continue for many years.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Okay.
you, Skip.